Hey, how y'all doing? This is your DFS Jerusalem coming to you live from the Daily Fantasy Sweatshop. And man, really wanted to take a moment to get into the Week 5 DFS slate. And we're going to be talking stacks. We all know that stacks and correlations are a major part of daily fantasy sports, daily fantasy football in particular. This is when you start with a base player and you gauge his success and who is going to have success through him, and then maybe a step further through that person as well. So, one of the most like uh, the most done stacks are going to be quarterback, wide receiver one, or wide receiver two, whatever, wide receiver or tight end, whatever you think is going to be, the the best play, whatever quarterback you think is going to, who he's going to make the most plays to, right? Like for example, let's say we've got Aaron Rodgers right here. We've got him highlighted, right? So we got Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers this week is going to be taking on the New York Football Giants. This is a Monday night game, right? Uh, a Sunday night game. Excuse me. This is a -7.5 in favor of Green Bay. It's at Green Bay in Lambeau, and is a 48-point total per the recent Vegas line that's coming out. So you've got Aaron Rodgers here, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, somebody who you can definitely depend on to have success when it comes to a subpar defense like the New York Giants have shown that they are, right? So let's say you wanted to pair him with a receiver. Well, the first thing you would do is you would take a look at the receivers and see who you want to put with him. Now, I think you can go either way with this. I think you can go with the quarterback as good as Aaron Rodgers. You could go um, Jordy Nelson, his main number one target, who's going to see more ownership than the next target, which is going to be Randall Cobb. Or you could even go down to the tight end in Richard Rodgers. You could also go Eddie Lacy. But Eddie Lacy doesn't catch the ball in the backfield as much as other backs that are going to be on the slate too, so we're not going to worry about that too much. Let's just say we're going to do the smartest thing possible for us, and we're going to pair Aaron Rodgers here with Jordy Nelson. So let's go ahead and lock Aaron Rodgers in. He is in our lineup. We pull up his player card. Now, as we can see here, for the season, he's at 55 completions, 94 attempts, 58% passer rating, 617 yards, 11.2 average per completion, 205 yards a game, 49 long, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, 98 rating. This is a safe quarterback. This is a safe quarterback. And he's got 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. He's fumbled 3 times and lost 1. Right? So this is a very safe quarterback. This is a good quarterback. This is actually my quarterback play of the week, actually. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna draft him onto our lineup. You see him, he's here. We started off. We've got Aaron Rodgers in, right? Now let's go over to receiver because we're gonna go ahead and pair him with the receiver that we really like. So you've got heading up the list. Number 1 is Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, AJ Green, Odell Beckham, Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is his number 1 target. We're gonna open his player card, see what he's doing. Now, coming off an injury, he's had some pretty big games. He has. On the season, 17 receptions, 27 targets. That's a lot of targets. 206 yards, 12 average, 68 yards a game, 49 long, 4 TDs, right? So we like Jordy Nelson. We're going to add him to our roster. Bam. So some of the stack is already completed. We've got Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson at home. That's a big deal. Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson at home in Lambeau Field going against a subpar New York Giants defense in a fairly high point total, one of the higher point totals of the week, 48 points, right? So let's just say that this goes exactly the way we planned. Let's just say that Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, they hook up early and often, right? So that's going to lead us to believe that the opposing offense are going to have to score to keep pace with them. So we've got a couple ways we can go here. Now, if it's an all-out shootout, let's just say the opposing team's #1 receiver is going in as matching Jordy step for step. That's a scenario. Let's say they're not and they're behind and the #1 receiver isn't playing as well. Well, we can go to the #2 receiver. But in this case, I think enough value is going to open up during the week to where we can roster both the #1 receivers in this game. So we know they're playing the New York Giants. We're already on the receivers. Odell Beckham was ranked slightly higher as far as DraftKings points or DraftKings the pricing goes. So we feel really good. Let's open up Odell's player card. Here he is. Now we're going to see Odell. Oh God, hard. 22 receptions on the season, 39 targets. That's a lot of targets, especially on a team where there's three receivers that are capable, three capable receivers. 39 targets, 303 yards, 13 average, 75 yards a game, no touchdowns. So that's a wait a minute, no touchdowns. So one of the best receivers in the league has not caught a touchdown. Well, what are the odds that he's not going to catch a touchdown this week? I'd say they're pretty good in the favor of him catching a touchdown this week. He looks like a really, really good play so far as we can see it. So we're going to complete that correlation and add Odell Beckham. So now we've got Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, Odell Beckham here, right? So the next thing we want to do is we got to ask ourselves, do we want a full-on stack? Do we want to get so much of this game to where we think that we can actually take down a GPP by rostering 4, 5, 6 players from this team? And we would have to go and look at the running back position because this is very important. Now, unless a tremendous amount of value opens up, our hands are going to kind of be tied. We're going to be tied to either Eddie Lacy or we're going to be tied to Orleans Darkwa. Now, Orleans Darkwa had a pretty good game last week. It was okay against the Minnesota, really stingy defense. But the Green Bay Packers have proved to be #1 against the run. So I don't even think we want to go that far with this game. I think this is enough in this game. The only other option that I'm thinking is if when we get down to spending its salary and we want to cut costs, I think maybe we can roster a tight end from either side in this game. But let's fill in our running back position first. Now you've got Le'Veon Bell, DeMarco Murray, Melvin Gordon, C.J. Anderson, Ezekiel Elliott, LaShawn McCoy, Todd Gurley, Lamar Miller, Damian Williams, Matt Forte. I said Damian Williams. I'm sorry. That's D'Angelo Williams. Well, so far, Jordan Howard had a really good game last week. You had Devontae Freeman played well, but they're playing against the Denver Broncos. We don't want any part. We're not rostering anybody against Denver. I'll let somebody else do that. I'm just not going to take that chance. My money's too valuable. Now, Terrence West is a very interesting play because he had a really good game last week. Let's check out his player card, see what he did last week. He 21 attempts. That's good. 21 touches, 113 yards, 5.4 average, 21 long, 1 touchdown. Right? He had a fumble, but he didn't lose it. Now we know they recently let go of Justin Forsett, so there's a very good chance that he is the featured back in this offense. Now they're playing against the Washington Redskins, who really aren't that great against the run. He's relatively cheap. I like him. We're gonna go. Should we draft him? We're gonna take Terrence West. Now, back to the running backs. I think this is a week where you don't have to roster one of the big dogs. I really don't. I don't think you're gonna be out of luck if you were to take one of the lower price running backs. Now I like David Johnson against San Francisco, so I think we're gonna lock him in. Plus, we want some exposure to the Thursday night game. If I could start off my week every week by just having 10 lineups, different lineups, with whoever scored the most in the Thursday night game, like I did last week. I had AJ Green everywhere in every lineup, and I believe all those lineups cashed. I had them in 10 different lineups, and they were of course they were different. But I had AJ Green was the only player I rostered from the Thursday night game. I think that's the route we're gonna take now. Let's check out David Johnson. So in 4 games, he's got 64 attempts. That's pretty good. That's about roughly 15, almost 16 attempts a game. Rushing, 4.7 average, 300 yards, 3 TDs. But this is where he separates himself here with the receptions. 4 receptions, 4 targets. 11 receptions, 15 targets. 3 receptions, 6 targets. So we're seeing every other game, he's capable to have like high targets, right? And this can work in his favor either way, because if San Francisco's offense stalls out, they're going to be running the ball. He's going to be running the ball. If San Francisco somehow, puts up points and they need to score with them, he's also a part of the passing game. So we like David Johnson this week. We do. So we're gonna draft David Johnson. Now, while we're scrounging around looking for point totals, that's what we're looking for. We notice that the San Diego-Oakland game has a 50-point total. We also realize that Latavius Murray has been scratched from the game. Latavius Murray is not going to be playing this week. So I would say we get some exposure to this game, especially at the running back position, where I like. See here, we can just go to the game. Point total game, we just go to it. You see Latavius Murray right here. So let's see the news on him. It says Murray toe isn't expected to play against the Chargers. Adam Schefter reported that. Per Schefter, Murray injury makes an appearance in Week 5 doubtful. However, it isn't too far-fetched to believe the Raiders' rushing attack could stand to operate at a higher efficiency in his absence. So that's giving us a hint that, hey, just because Latavius Murray isn't playing doesn't mean that they're not going to be running the ball well, especially against this San Diego defense. So I think you should check out this guy, DeAndre Washington. Okay, now let's look at some of his games. On 4 games, 5 attempts the first week, 7 attempts the second week, 16 attempts. Okay. 16 in away games, he got 16 attempts, right? So 5 receptions on the season, 6 receptions on the season, no touchdowns. So we've got a guy at very low pricing. It's probably going to end up being the chalk, right? And we may need him to stay with the field because we went heavy on the Sunday night game. We need players that are going to keep us in striking distance so we can overtake them Sunday night. So I like DeAndre Washington. He's very cheap. I believe $3,400 salary here. See $3,400. I like him. Let's take him. So far, we've got Aaron Rodgers stacked with Jordy Nelson. The correlation to that is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. we went to the Thursday night game to get that early exposure, to get that itch off of us that we really want. We want to see somebody score some points for us Thursday. We got what we feel is going to be the best player in that game. We've got Terrence West, who is definitely a value running back. We've got DeAndre Washington. In our flex, we're going to switch that, though, because you always want to have the latest player in your flex. We're going to switch the two running backs, the Terrence West and the Washington. We'll do that before we close out. You always want to have the latest player in your flex right here. So we're going to switch that for Terrence West. We're going to put Terrence West. Well, no, this is a 4 o'clock game. This is a 4 o'clock game. We're good here. We're good here because we can't put Jordy Nelson or Odell in there. We're good. We're good here. Okay. And let's just see what else we come up with. We may be able to bust another move. Now, wide receiver. So, do we want to stay in this high point total game? I think there's some good plays in this game, but I don't think there's enough to actually stay stuck on this game. I think there's some other point totals that we can really get into. I like the Pittsburgh and the Jets game. Let's check that out. I believe that is a 1 o'clock game. Here we are, Pittsburgh and the Jets. Right? And we're looking at a wide receiver here, or even a tight end. Of course, Antonio Brown jumps off the fucking page. But with the salary that we do have, he's 9,800. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit him in. Remaining player, 3,200 per player. We're not going to fit him in. So what we probably should do is go ahead and lock our defense in, and then see what we can work with from there. Let's do that. We go to all games. Let's see what we got in defense. Now, the Broncos defense has been good all year long. They're going to be the second-ranked offense in the league in Atlanta Falcons. I kind of don't want to test that, especially with the new quarterback coming in, and I don't know if he's more prone to turnovers than Trevor Siemian was, so I'm not going to mess with that, because if they give the ball in a short field, they're going to score. You know what I mean? So we're going to stay away from that. The Patriots definitely could like shellac the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers defense, we don't want to mess with that. The Vikings are very tempting playing Houston. Houston has had trouble moving the ball. They haven't really gotten DeAndre Hopkins started. It might be a bounce back for him. I don't know. I think I'm going to stay away from that. Plus, we need to get even lower if we want to pay up at one more position. So I'm going to take the defense that I like this week. I like the Buccaneers. This is provided that Cam Newton does not play, which he's in the concussion protocol. There's a good chance that he might not play, so we can look at them, and then also the Bears, because we know that dude's a turnover machine, man. He's a turnover machine. He's a turnover machine. We can exploit that. We can definitely exploit that. As a matter of fact, I think that's where we're going. That's where we're going. We're gonna start the Bears defense. Bang. This gives us what, 9,800 in remaining salary, and we've got get him in there. Bang. Okay, yeah. This gives us 7,600 in remaining salary, so we can pay up or down. Now, I've been a fan of going double tight a lot this season, because we're seeing a lot of production from tight ends. The pricing hasn't really caught up with tight ends yet, so going double tight, I don't think it'll even be a detriment to you at all. I think you can go double tight this year, and it'll be fine for you. You've got 3,800, so he's a tight end I really like. He's coming back off of an injury, so his pricing isn't really that high anyway. And he's in a team's giving up 3 points at Detroit. We know Detroit is a horrible defense. It's a 46-point total. That's not as high as we would like it, but it's high enough to where we feel like he can get a piece of the market share, right? So we're gonna go tight end here. And we are going Zach Ertz. We like Zach Ertz. We're going Zach Ertz. Now, this is going to give us $4,100 in remaining salary, right? So let's check out the receivers for $4,100. Okay. Now this Chris Hogan play is standing out to me because this will give us some exposure to Brady. So if Brady does go off, we can get some exposure here. Chris Hogan, what do we think? Do we think Chris Hogan is going to be, in the receiving category with Amendola and Edelman? He's going to catch some balls there. There's a lot of mouths to feed in New England, and I'm sure those players are chomping off the bit to really get involved too, especially with Brady coming back. So I'm not sure if that's somewhere we can go, or we can go Amendola. We can go into Amendola. Now there's a reason why Amendola is priced lower than Chris Hogan. And see, a lot of times I hedge in these situations. I might hedge. I might create a lineup with Amendola, then create the exact same lineup, but just put Hogan in. But I think I'm going to avoid both of them. And I really like Marcus Wheaton. So this is what we've done so far. We were able to start Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, right here. We got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. The correlation play to him, Jordy Nelson. On the other side of that, because we feel like that's going to be good, we got Odell Beckham here. We got David Johnson getting us some points on Thursday night. Terrence West in his now newly solidified starter role. Zach Ertz coming back off an injury at a fair price against the Detroit defense that we think Philadelphia can handle. And plus, rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, who do they throw to the most? They let it go to the tight end. I believe the Trey Burton dude had like 12 catches or some shit the other day. We've got Washington here because we know Latavius Murray is not going to be playing this week. We like him. He's a pass-catching back as well as a really good runner. We've got Marcus Wheaton to get exposure to that New York Jets and Pittsburgh game. And we've got the Bears defense rounding out everything against a turnover-prone quarterback in Andrew Luck. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. This was Lineup Build, the Lineup Build segment, specifically focusing on stacks. You can do this with 4 or 5 different quarterbacks this week. I like Aaron Rodgers. He is my top quarterback play. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Thank y'all. Stay safe. Enjoy. And let's get this money.